Hello, Abraham. Nice to see you and all the staff again. I've got 3 questions. I think he summarized at the end. Working out kinks in my vibration. So I've been studying recently the material being presented by 2 gentlemen, wonderful, Corey Good and David Wilcock, and they teach similar to your teachings from a book called The Law of One. Wonderful stuff. And they've also been sharing information from their own personal experiences about domination and control of the planet, mind control, all of these things that kind of go on in the background. And they talk about solutions being a cosmic occurrence that may come. None of that squares with what I've been studying with you and other
teachers.
Well,
those things are not really going on in the background. They're going on in the foreground.
What do you mean by that?
What's going on in the background is law of attraction. What's going in the background is your source. What's going in the background is your own vortex. What's going on in the background is what you have created. And then you're bringing it out into the foreground by your focus upon it. And so
the kinds of things that myself or others might want to see in the world where we know our own empowerment and have the ability to have power and influence over what happens in the world. What are the Abraham principles and teachings that allow us to do that through the methods you teach?
Well, there's a difference in what we are encouraging and what we are hearing, at least what we are perceiving, that you are perceiving from what you are talking about. Because we are encouraging you to be the extension of your own source and the individual creator of your own experience, where you don't spend too much time trying to influence or control what others are doing. Because when you understand your own point of attraction and you understand that environment is big enough for everyone to create their own reality, then you don't believe that you have to control the circumstances of others in order to have the reality that you want. That just never ends. You never work your way out into a place of freedom when you believe that your work is to garner enough influence that you can then control other outcomes that you need to observe in order to feel better. It's a backwards approach to it. We certainly understand why that seems like a good idea, because it is easier to love a lovable one than it is an unlovable one. But that's what we're talking about, this mutuality. Do you need the world to be mutual with you in order for you to be joyful? Or can you find mutuality with your own inner being and sustain that? And this may be some of what you're talking about there. When you care mostly about your mutuality with your own inner power, your own inner truth, and your own inner strength, so that you are consistently there, then if others are going to engage with you, they must rise to your level. And so the thing that's tricky is, if you can maintain this while you're observing that, then good for you. Maybe you can find satisfaction in that, and that would be the key. That would be the only bridge that would be viable between the 2 approaches. Yeah.
So relative to that, so you and I have been talking about years, for me at least, that's always my question to you, this intersection of spirituality and politics, and I know I've asked this before. So when people like myself who are committed to...
Politics may be the subject that is most devoid of spirituality that exists on the planet today, because the attention is upon affecting the outcome. The attention is upon the manifestation rather than the connection and the emotion.
But what I'd like to get out of you is some clear words of how we use our own process to influence the world positively.
It is my desire to focus myself moment by moment into feelings of satisfaction, because that feeling of satisfaction and more is my indication of my being in the receiving mode. And when I'm in the receiving mode, then my point of influence is mighty, because when I'm in concert with the energy that creates worlds, when I team up with my inner being, and my point of attraction and the point of attraction of my inner being is one and the same, then I have big time attraction going on. However, I cannot attract to me that which is not mutual. So the result would be, if I stay there and I'm consistently there and I get the momentum going there so that I not only feel satisfied, I feel passion, I feel exhilaration, then the cooperative components that are being gathered by law of attraction, and I'm standing over there with my inner being, and so law of attraction is responding to the singularity of us. There's no split energy of me and me. There's no split energy of my non-physical merry band, a powerful group of non-physical energies. Then those in the world that are in the vicinity of that which I am about will naturally gravitate to where I am.
And in that way we can uplift others because they see who we are.
You're not uplifting them. They are allowing themselves to be uplifted.
Oh.
And where it goes a little screwy is when you believe that you are to uplift them. Because let's say you're uplifted and they're not, and you want to uplift them, so you go to where they are to try to get them to bring them back. You have no power now. You got to stay there, and they've got to join you.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah. And they naturally will, if they would just stop beating the drum of what's wrong with this and what's wrong with this and what's wrong with this and what's wrong with this. If they would just give it a little rest.
If there's no resistance, we naturally go with where our inner being is.
It's not even a desire. It's a natural state of being. The radio signals are not calling it positive or negative. They're just calling it equivalent signals. That's why we keep calling it. When you find your vibrational equivalency with your own inner being, then you've got one point of attraction, so you're not working against yourself. That's really the point that we're making. By coming into alignment with who you are, then you're not working against yourself. And when you're not working against yourself, you are as powerful as you could possibly be.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So what are the other laws of the universe? You talk about the law of attraction. Are there any other laws in the universe you can share with us?
Not any that are on par. Not any that are mutual.
Nothing mutual.
Nothing in the vicinity.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. We would like to take a moment at the end of this gathering to describe to you the viewpoint that all of us have of you here on planet Earth. Your planet, you. We'd just like to give you a bird's eye view of what's going on here. You live on the leading edge, which is the most sought after creative environment, because it's an environment where even while you're mastering it, even before you master it, there's so much potential for satisfaction. But it is the sought after creative environment because it's just logical that thoughts come to more and more creative conclusions. Because every one of you has an inner being, and because of the balance of your planet, and because resistant ones are croaking and re-emerging into non-physical, and because new non-resistant ones are being born, and because the animal vibrational content is one of pure positive energy, the balance of your planet is so much more that of well-being than that of not well-being, that it's not even a discussion that you need to have. But you know, humans can take one little thing that's bothering them when there are lots of positive aspects, and they can take that one little thing that bothers them and they can use that as their reason to pinch themselves off from all of this other resource. But even if you do that, even if all of you were to decide at one time, which is completely illogical, that you were going to find a reason to all pinch yourself off all at once, still the resources of non-physical that are flowing forward assure well-being on this planet in this leading edge environment of creation. It's just a sure thing. We want to say to you, you don't have anything to worry about. But the things that you find that you use to worry about are the excuses that you use to pinch yourself off from the energy that is what you're all reaching for. And then you come to the flawed conclusion because of misunderstood circumstantial evidence that things are not going well. Things have never been better. And here's why. The contrast causes you to ask. More of you are listening now than ever before. More of you are rising to the vibrational frequency. There's more joy being experienced by more humans on planet Earth today than 10 years ago, 20 years ago, certainly 100 years ago, 200 years ago. It's getting better and better. It is not getting worse and worse. So we know how easy it is for you all to, instead of getting hold of this knowledge of well-being and focusing upon the positive aspects and looking for things to be satisfied, we understand how easy it is for you to find something that's wrong and push hard against it, believing that that is your great service to the world. But it is only a service as long as it gives birth to something in the vortex, and you are all doing that no matter what. So we're not asking you to be complacent about this. We're asking you to be very focused about it. We're not asking you to say, oh, all is well and therefore I don't have to think, because you have to think yourself into satisfaction. We're just assuring you that if you don't do it, everything is not going to be destroyed. We just want you to know that the well-being is dominant, and that as you reach for feelings of satisfaction, you will make that difference. And that's much of what you've been receiving. That is the big picture in all of this. Humans think that action is required, and action is a delicious part of being alive on planet Earth. Action matters a lot. It feels really good to act. But when you act from your alignment, that is action that is satisfying and productive. When you act under the influence of something else, not so much. We know that words don't teach, and that these words of reassurance might not be ringing quite true to some of you who've been worried about a lot of things. But we also want to remind you that we've got the big picture, and that we've seen you coming and going and coming and going and coming and going and coming and going. And in every bit of all of that, you know what our attention has always been upon? You know what the eyes of source energy have always been upon? Not the reality that you're living in any moment, but the vibrational reality that you've created. Because the vibrational reality that you've created is going to be, because the resistant ones among you are going to croak. And the new generation is going to come in and live the dream that you've put into the vortex. It cannot be otherwise than getting better and better and better and better and better. The momentum of the well-being of this planet is huge in comparison with the pinching off of it. You just have to decide how eager and willing you are to get into alignment with the well-being. And the answer to that is, what satisfying thought can I find right now? What is it? Does it have to be a great big thought that I can't even get my thoughts around? Or can I just enjoy that bug crawling across that log right now? It's so much easier than you've been letting it be. We have such appreciation for you being here in this room, being here in these bodies, being here on this planet. You're getting it mostly right in the sense that you can't help it. Contrast keeps causing you to become more. But today we think that you've come to a place where maybe you've decided with a little more determination than ever before that you're going to be aware of whether you're in the receiving mode of the well-being that you've put into this vortex or not. If you could just release your sense of responsibility to the world and let your responsibility be to your connection with source right here and now, you would solve all problems. For a minute, and then you'd stir more up. And that's a good thing, because the contrast is what keeps us all moving forward. The contrast is what puts the eternalness in eternity. The contrast is what assures the wholeness and the foreverness of that which we are. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain stubbornly, joyously, interestedly in your vortex.